This is a clip from a live carnivore doctor meeting in our Go Carnivore community where we help you reduce inflammation and lose weight with a carnivore diet. You can join us at gocarnivore.com. Why do you think the carnivore diet is so useful and beneficial for the brain as well as our overall health?
The carnivore diet focuses on the foods that do the three things we need to do best. So a brain healthy diet needs to nourish, protect, and energize the brain. And so nourish means it needs to provide all essential nutrients. And meat, seafood, poultry, eggs are missing a couple of nutrients, but they're otherwise a nearly complete food. Um, so we'll stick with meat, seafood, and poultry to be very strictly clear about this. Contain all of the nutrients we need in their proper forms and without any anti-nutrients to interfere with our ability to utilize those nutrients. So nourish, check. Protect the brain and the rest of the body. Protect the brain from damage, damaging inflammation, damaging oxidative stress, damaging insulin resistance. Well, meat, seafood, and poultry do that beautifully too, because they do not contain the refined carbohydrates, the vegetable oils, and so many of the other inflammatory compounds that exist in the modern industrialized diet. They don't contain any alcohol either, so that's another damaging ingredient. And they don't contain any defensive toxins that can break down our natural barriers or aggravate our immune system or interfere with our thyroid function or our nervous system function or our mitochondrial function. The mitochondria are these, tiny little they're called organelles, like little mini organs inside of our cells. They do lots of things, but the things they're most famous for are generating energy, which the brain desperately needs a good supply of. So check. So nourish, protect, check. Energize. The way you best energize the brain is by keeping your glucose and insulin levels in a healthy range. And animal foods do this beautifully, the non-dairy animal foods in particular, because they're incapable of causing dangerous glucose and insulin spikes.
I want to talk about
Yes.
fat because when it comes to fat, I asked you in our interview what your thoughts are about a high fat diet, and you said it depends. So, can you clarify why it depends around high fat and macros for how much fat, how much protein to optimize the brain, but also our overall health?
So the amount of fat in the diet is the ideal amount of fat in the diet is going to depend on your on your metabolic health, on your current state and what your goals are, particularly with respect to your body fat. So if you have excess body fat that you're trying to lose, you may want to be careful with how much fat you include in your diet. It's still going to be the majority of your calories, because when you take the carbohydrates out of you need to replace those carbohydrate calories with fat calories. And so, protein is going to be the center of your diet, but then how much fat you include in the diet is going to vary depending on your body fat goals. So in the beginning, when you're first changing your diet, you may just want to kind of not worry about it and just eat fat to satiety until your body kind of adapts to that new diet. But then if you find that you're not working towards that, your body fat isn't budging, you've got stuck at a plateau, um, for the very first thing I would say is take the dairy out, because dairy is one of the biggest culprits when it comes to weight loss plateaus and cravings and all that sort of thing. But the next thing I would recommend, if you've already taken out the dairy, is to dial down the fat a little bit, because what you want to be doing is burning your body fat primarily. You don't want most of the fat in your diet to be coming from your plate. You want most of it, or at least a good percentage of it, to be coming from your body fat. That's the fat you want to be burning. And so this is something that a lot of people in the keto and even keto and low carb circles often don't appreciate. and sometimes even in carnivore circles don't appreciate. So I've consulted with a lot of people on a carnivore diet who are gaining weight even, and they don't know why. And so this is, I think, a lever that you can play with to help yourself.
Absolutely. I want to talk about the different types of fat that we need for our brain health. So there's EPA, DHA, and ARA. Sounds a bit complicated, but can you explain what they are, why they're important, and what foods we can get it from?
Yeah, so these are the long chain omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So these are EPA, DHA, ARA. ARA is arachidonic acid. And so EPA and DHA, a lot of people may be familiar with because they're the so-called acids that are in all the supplements, the fish oil and the krill oil and that sort of thing. And a lot of people have gotten wise to the fact that we need these. These are essential fatty acids for the brain. Arachidonic acid, a lot of people haven't heard very much about. When you do hear about it, it's usually bad things about it because it's part of our immune system. One of the many, many things it does is it's part of our immune system, and it makes up a significant percentage of the fat in our brain, of the brain's immune system, meaning that arachidonic acid gets mobilized if you're in brain inflammation. But inflammation isn't just a bad thing. Inflammation is also, you need to be able, your brain needs an immune system. It needs first responders. It needs to be able to mount an inflammatory response. So arachidonic acid is critical for that. It does lots of other things too. But in any case, these three omega-3 fatty acids, we cannot make them ourselves. And it's very, very difficult to make them ourselves. Let's put it that way. And so it's really ideal if you can get them from your diet, and they only exist in animal foods. The types of omega-3s and 6s that you find in plant foods are far inferior source. Your body has to go through a lot of hoops, jump through a lot of hoops to convert the omega-3s and 6s from plant foods into the omega-3s and 6s from animal foods are the ones that our bodies and brains actually need. So ideally, you want to consume EPA, DHA, and arachidonic acid directly. You don't want to try to take the inferior molecules from plant foods and try to convert them into the ones we need. It's very, very difficult, and in some cases, even impossible to do that. So these are critical for the brain, and the brain absorbs them and uses them. And so it's really, especially during brain development, during the first 1,000 days of life, these are absolutely critical.
To watch the full live meeting plus the Q&A, just head to gocarnivore.com. You can also try our customized meal planner, join our monthly carnivore challenges with our carnivore coaches, and also make friends with like-minded carnivores all wanting optimal health.